We know we need to get this right in order to protect those who are vulnerable and also to support an individual's autonomy and freedom of choice. For these reasons, today we are letting Canadians know that our government intends to work with our parliamentary colleagues in the House and Senate to negotiate an extension of the March 17th, 2023 eligibility date. This will require legislation. This work will begin in the new year. Right now, we want all Canadians to know, especially those exempted by the current exemption of eligibility from MAiD, that we plan to take this next step. This is a top priority for our government, and we want to reassure Canadians that we are committed to ensuring that our laws protect everyone while supporting the autonomy and freedom of choice that are central to Canada's MAiD regime.
And just on trying to get the new legislation passed, of course, the House has now risen. It's not coming back until January 30th. That leaves just over a month's time to actually pass this new legislation, negotiate with the other parties. What is this work going to look like over the next few weeks? Because it's a very, very short time until you hit that March deadline.
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's a good question. We have only to negotiate an extension. So the only part of the legislation will be an extension to the coming into effect, or I suppose coming into effect of the regime, or the devolution of the sunset clause. So that's all we're doing here. The regime will come into place at the end of that time period. So we're just seeking to move that time period back. We have begun to have discussions informally. I'm not going to negotiate in the public sphere right now, but we do think that there's widespread support amongst parliamentarians in both houses to move prudently. We've heard Canadians, we've heard our parliamentary colleagues and others, and we think that we can get this done.
Hi, Minister Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News. To when would this be delayed to? Is it indefinite? What kind of time frame are you looking at here?
Again, I'm not going to commit to a particular period of time. I want to speak with my parliamentary colleagues first. There are a number of people in Canada, including the chair of the expert committee, Dr. Mona Gupta, working with her colleagues across Canada, who feel that clinicians are ready, to move forward now with the March 23rd deadline. There are others who've expressed concerns and would like a short delay. So I'm not going to commit to a particular period of time. We do have to respect decisions of the courts. They have said that medical assistance in dying is a right that Canadians have, and so the process will continue to move forward, but we're going to do it in a measured and prudent way, as we have done from the beginning, and we will see what the fruit of those negotiations will be.
And is there a chance that medical aid in dying for mental health reasons won't happen?
I think that would that would require a very different piece of legislation. Right now, what we're doing is delaying the coming into force after a sunset clause. That would require a very different piece of legislation, and I think that would run us afoul of the courts.
Hi, Catherine Levesque, National Post. Just in terms of the timeline, so just to be clear, so I understand there's going to be a bill to amend the legislation. Are you intending on waiting till the special joint committee tabled its final report to do that, or might it happen when the House comes back? So just to be crystal clear, you could table legislation as soon as the House comes back.
That's correct. Yeah. Remember, all this legislation is doing is delaying the coming into effect of the sunset clause.
Just as you're working forward, what protections and safeguards are you going to have in place for people suffering mental illness who may be looking for MAiD? Because, of course, suicidal ideation may just also be a symptom of someone experiencing mental illness.
That's a good question. I think it's clear that if you're thinking about suicide, that this is not a reason to get medical assistance in dying. It's clear in the expert report that that's not what this is about. That we're talking about mental disorders that are that are evaluated over a much longer period of time with a greater degree of expertise. I want to reassure Canadians that if you're thinking about suicide, you should get help. But the MAiD regime is not there for that. That's something else. I don't know if, Carolyn, you want to add to that?
Yes, I think the expert panel made it clear that the safeguards in place now are pretty well the same safeguards that would be needed for mental illness, because it is not suicide. But what they are recommending is that in the assessor process, that a psychiatrist would be part of any assessment team to make sure that this is indeed because of mental illness and not suicidal ideation.